2 years before the Declaration of Independence, a young evangelical colonial population accomplished something truly extraordinary. In small communities from New Hampshire to Georgia, it successfully challenged the authority of Great Britain, then the strongest empire in the world. The vast majority of Americans have never heard the people's stories. Instead, we have concentrated the attention on the lives of a small group of celebrated leaders. Without the people, however, there would have been no revolution, no independent nation. Confident of their God-given rights, driven by anger against the imperial government that treated them like second-class subjects, American insurgents resisted parliamentary rule, first spontaneously, as loosely organized militias who purged the countryside of crown officials, and then, increasingly, after late 1774, as members of local committees of safety that became schools for revolution. A narrative of the People's Revolution includes Matthew Patten and tens of thousands of ordinary colonists like him who elected resistance over accommodation. Long before the Battle of Lexington in April of 1775, British officials would most certainly have classified Patten as an insurgent. The term is not meant to shock the modern reader. Along with rebels, mobs, and rabble, contemporaries used the word insurgents to describe American colonists who openly defied parliamentary acts. For our purpose, the word brings greater clarity to an understanding of the coming national independence. The patriots who are generally credited for mounting the revolution were, in fact, the beneficiaries of rebellious insurgents who initially sparked resistance. Without tens of thousands of ordinary people willing to set aside their work, homes, and families to take up arms with expectations of killing and possibly being killed, a handful of elite gentlemen arguing about political theory makes for a debating society, not a revolution. Such reflections raise arresting new questions. How did it happen that so many Americans reached the point of mutual commitment to a cause? When did they do so? The answer, it turns out, were hiding in plain sight. During the 2 years that preceded the Declaration of Independence, Americans launched an insurgency that drove events towards a successful revolution. In the process, American insurgents became American patriots. By restoring the insurgent stories we tell ourselves about the nation's origins, we gain a greater appreciation of the achievements of the patriots. What's up, guys? That is a paragraph from the book American Insurgents, American Patriots by T.H. Breen. And I find it fascinating because the first paragraph of the book discusses how. How did America get so many people on the same page? You know, you hear people say all the time, only 3% supported the revolution. Regardless of what the percentage is, it was a substantial amount of people. And I think that that is what is key in discussing the current state of affairs in our country. You know, today's episode is called The American Insurgent. And it is not unique to the United States of America, but I think it is unique to the entire Western world as we are seeing it crumble before our very eyes. Today is February 22nd. Yesterday was when Canada launched its massive offensive against peaceful protesters and trampled them with horses, sprayed them with different gases, beat them with batons, and did all of these egregious acts against a population of people that showed no aggression towards the government. All they showed their government is we are sick and tired of being told what to do. We are sick and tired of being told how to live our lives, where we can go, how many people we can have in our houses, where we can travel to, what we have to put in our body, and the list goes on and on. And I praise the Canadians that organized and went and protested and let the world hear their voice. It's something that is extremely important right now. And I think it's more important than ever because this is not going to end until we, in fact, do mount some type of revolution. Now, what does that revolution look like? I'm not Nostradamus. I do not know what it's going to look like. Is it something that we can do through peace and through love and just active resistance to everything that they ask of us? Perhaps it can be. But in today's podcast, I'm going to be real about what I see. And I'm going to let you guys know that in order to defeat evil, in order to put people that wish to do violence on their people and wish to subjugate and wish to control their people, in order to defeat them, sometimes you do need violence. Look at a fucking history book. The people that work their way to the elite class, today they happen to be political parties. A couple centuries ago, it was royalty and it was the crown. But there is no difference. When you were sitting at the top of the throne, very, very rarely can somebody take all that power and maintain a healthy perspective, a healthy outlook, and put their people before themselves. That is the biggest key of the problems that we are seeing face Western nations worldwide. The elite class sitting at the top of the throne are self-serving. They care about how they maintain their power, how they acquire massive amounts of riches. And they skew the system to continuously serve them and not serve you. So at what point do we say we have fucking had enough? I don't know how far that point is out. Is it a year away? Or is this a generational thing? Will our children be the ones taking our freedom back from the oppressors that are oppressing the entire Western civilization? You know, I've been thinking about this episode for a while, but the shit that's going on in Canada reaffirmed that we need to talk about this, and we need to talk about this right fucking now. So what is it that's going on in Canada? Well, I can tell you this. Enough people have come to the same conclusion that they no longer wish to be controlled by a political entity that they mounted an offensive. Now, I call it an offensive, but it was rooted in peace and love. A guy I've connected with on Instagram named Sean Zimmer. I follow him closely. We've talked back and forth a few times, and he was very adamant about keeping violence and anger and destruction, keeping those things as far apart from what they are doing with the Freedom Convoy as possible. They wanted no connection. They wanted nobody to be able to point a finger and be like, look, you guys burned this. You guys looted this building. You smashed this. You threw this at a police officer. Go find a fucking piece of footage showing those people inciting any type of violence. I haven't seen it yet. Does it exist? I tend to say no. And the reason I say no is because if it did exist, it would be plastered on every single fucking media outlet on earth, on a fucking running loop. Look at these Nazis that are burning buildings and looting. Here's the ironic thing, though. 2 fucking years ago, when BLM looted and rioted and destroyed and committed acts of violence against innocent people, pulling people out of their trucks and beating the fuck out of them, all of these politicians commended them. The media supported it. The political elites supported it. And why did they do that? Why did they support them so much? I think they supported them because it continues to pull our country into further and further chaos. And when we're engulfed in chaos, and I hate this group and this group hates me, and they're a racist and they hate the color of my skin, and I'm supposed to hate the color of their skin, and I don't like their political party, and they don't like my political party. As long as they just keep us all stirred up and angry at each other, they comfortably sit at the top. So when they see things that are inciting violence, that are inciting unrest, what do? They nurture that. They let that grow. They let that continue. They let that go off without a hitch. But when they see something that potentially has the power to bring them down a notch, to confront them, to possibly be the very preliminary measures of coming after them, they stop at nothing. They use all resources available to shut it down. I've been very vocal on my Instagram this week. I have seen police officers behaving in a manner that is sickening to me. That is sickening. And you motherfuckers, and a lot of cops listen to my show, and if you're a cop in Ottawa that partook in any of the stuff that I saw, fuck you. I hope you get what's coming. Fuck you. Police officers swore an oath to their communities and to the people of their communities, not the political elite cocksuckers that are running Canada, that are running Australia, that are running the United States. That is not who we serve. And if you choose to serve those people, your time is coming, motherfuckers. When this fucking finally blows up, all you cocksuckers that just did what you were told so you could keep your job, you could keep your paycheck, we're dragging you out in the fucking streets. You don't get to apologize. You don't get to ask for fucking mercy. Fuck you. That time is coming, I promise you. When I saw that old woman in a walker getting trampled by a fucking horse, and the cops did nothing. They didn't even get off their fucking horses. And then to make it worse, you guys see the text message thread that was made public where those motherfuckers were joking about it and laughing about it? Let me tell you guys something. When that shit comes to America, if any man assaults my mother like that, I don't give a fuck what your title is. I don't care if you're a fucking homeless drug addict. I don't give a fuck if you're a police officer. I don't give a fuck what your profession, what's your title, your political affiliation. I don't give a fuck about any of that. You assault my mother like that, you're a fucking dead man. And it's only a matter of time before the wrong people get treated in the wrong manner. In the wrong manner. And something's going to set this powder keg off. Because we have fucking had enough. You know, I posted a video yesterday of a woman walking down the sidewalk. And I say elderly woman just by the sound of her voice. And she said the cops are walking up to her. And she turns her phone on. And the cop goes, "Why is your phone in my face?" That's just immediate cocksucker. Little fucking bitch. And she goes, "Oh, because I'm scared. You guys are coming up to me. I'm scared." She goes, "I'm literally walking to get a coffee right now. Can I get a coffee? Can I not get a coffee here?" And the guy goes, "No, you can't get a coffee. Get out of this city. You're not allowed in here right now." And then he smacks her arm and goes, "What did I tell you about that phone in my face? Get out of here. If I see you again, I'm taking you to jail." You deserve to be strung up, motherfucker. We have had enough of people like you. People like you that serve corruption and serve the elite. We have had enough. You don't want to stand with your people? Fine. You chose your side. And when all this comes to a fucking boiling point, I promise you, you are on the wrong side. But that's your fucking problem then. It's no longer going to be my problem or anybody else's problem, because that kind of shit is not going to be tolerated, and we're coming for motherfuckers like you. We have had it. You know, when you look at what is sweeping across all of these Western nations, it is absolute control from the political elite. If any of you motherfuckers out there still think this is about a virus, I want to fucking slap you. This hasn't been about a virus for 2 years. I made my video in May of 2020 because it was already becoming clear that the political elite and the structures that we have in play currently were already capitalizing on this pandemic to be able to behave in ways that law enforcement isn't supposed to behave. If you guys remembered my initial video, and I just shared it again a couple days ago because it is exactly what needs to be heard again today, 2 fucking years later. I talk about how people's constitutional rights are getting trampled on by the government. And I saw it back then for what it was, and it did not make sense back then, and it doesn't even begin to make sense today. It is more egregious today than ever. You motherfuckers have had 2 years to watch this unfold and see what it's all about. And I can draw parallels between what's happening in Australia, what's happening in Canada, what's happening in parts of Europe, and what's happening right here in America. And listen very closely. This is my Nostradamus moment. And if I'm wrong, so be it. And I'll own it. And I will say, hey, I fucked that one up, guys. But I promise you, this is what the political elite is going to do. They are going to turn down the heat. I'm always giving you guys the frog in the pot analogy. They slowly turn up the heat until we're cooking. And then one day we realize, fuck, we're in a pot of boiling water. What do we do now? Because it's too late at that point. But right now, they're going to turn the heat down. They're going to turn it down to a comfortable simmer. They're going to let you go back to work. They're going to let your kids take their masks off at school. They're even going to say, you know what, guys? We don't need mandatory vaccinations anymore. And the reason that they're going to do this is because elections are coming up this fall. And they're going to run on these fucking platforms. Look, our mandates and implementing our measures is what defeated COVID. And we're back to normal now. Thanks to us, we're back to normal now. So please continue to vote us into power. And some of you fucking retards will fucking buy that. And you will vote for these people. Even though it's already been fucking proven. Even the fucking CDC is saying cloth masks don't work. Even the CDC is saying natural immunity is stronger than the vaccination. Oh, you mean the things that this dumb fucking ranger was saying a year and a half ago? This dumb ranger that doesn't have a degree in virology, that isn't a medical doctor? Who didn't trust the science? This is what people don't understand. When you see something that doesn't feel right, trust your intuition. My intuition had fucking bells and whistles and red flags shooting up from the beginning. You don't have to be a college-educated virologist to look at what's happening and say, this doesn't make sense. But when we said that stuff a year and a half ago, our posts were taken down. We were spreading misinformation. And now, even the CDC is saying this stuff. And these motherfuckers are going to take credit for it. They're going to say, oh, well, we did this and we did that. We implemented these mandates. And now, everybody made it and we're safe. We survived the winter of death. And we're supposed to be grateful that somehow these people did something that benefited us. When in all actuality, the economy is shit. Public schools are absolute shit. Depression is at an all-time high. Suicide is at an all-time high. Fucking thousands and thousands of small businesses were fucking just squeezed out, couldn't survive. But all these major corporations are thriving. Big Pharma is thriving. The rich got richer, and you motherfuckers let it happen. Because you got manipulated, and you got manipulated through fear. So learn a fucking lesson. Do not allow these people to make you fear anything. There is nothing to fear. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I think it's important to unpack what I foresee happening after the fall elections. If our society is dumb enough to vote these people in for an additional term or a new term, depending on the specifics of whatever election is in your area, you vote the wrong people back in. Once they're secure and once they are in position, the next offensive is coming. You think they waged a 2-year offensive against American patriots? You think they waged a 2-year offensive against liberty and independence? Just to say, okay, it's over. Fuck no, they didn't. This is calculated. They're turning the heat down to try and acquire more power. Once that power is acquired, they're cranking it up and they're fucking coming for you. How are they coming for you? I do not know. Will it be the 30th variant of Corona? Or will it be something more sinister? And guys, I have to tell you, I talk about this stuff because I'm passionate about it. I think it is a reality that we are going to face, but I'm not scared at all. Not at all. I'm not nervous. I'm not worried. In fact, I fucking look forward to it. There is not fear in my heart, and there should not be any fear in your heart as well. But what they're going to do is they're going to keep prodding and keep prodding and keep chipping away at your rights. Keep chipping away at your rights. They're coming for your freedom. They're coming for your liberties. They're coming for your independence. And when are you motherfuckers going to say enough? I drew the hard lines in the sand last year. I opened my business and I said, any man that tries to shut my business down will be met with deadly force. I put that out publicly, and I did that because I needed to be held accountable to my words and my statements. And by the grace of God, nobody fucking threatened to shut my business down in person. They sent me emails, they sent me letters, and there was phone calls. But no one ever showed up in person. Is that by chance? I don't know. I'll probably never know. But regardless, I made the determination and the commitment in my own heart that the government doesn't get to control my business. You need to make that in your heart right now. Whatever your role is in society, your role in society needs to be to serve first your family and then serve the community. If you are serving those two things, you cannot be on the wrong side of history. And the government doesn't get to dictate how we serve our family and how we serve our community if we are not violating the law. Now, when I say violate the law, obviously, I should say violating our American ethical code, because laws are arbitrary and they legislate new ones and they continuously manipulate them to make us the bad guys. I was just talking about this with a friend yesterday because in Washington State, they are voting to ban 30-round magazines. 30-round magazines are responsible for all kinds of death and destruction. Oh, but police can have 30-round magazines. Just you can't. 30-round magazines are very effective at protecting dignitaries, protecting political class, protecting judicial, or protecting federal judges and protecting justices. They're very efficient at all that. They're just not efficient at protecting you and your family. I wonder why that is. And what these motherfuckers do is they just continue to legislate us all into being criminals. I don't have a criminal record. I haven't done anything criminal since I was a kid. Yeah, I got arrested for some dumb shit when I was a teenager, like most of us did. But in my adult life, I have done nothing but been on the side of right, served this country, obeyed the laws, did what was asked of me in my professions. And now here I am, being told I have to give up my 30-round magazines. Oh no, you're grandfathered in. If you already had them, it's okay. But there's going to be stipulations on where you can take them and how you can use them and if they can be loaded. And fuck you. That's my stipulation. And if you don't like it, fucking do something about it. It's the same thing with my concealed carry. I have to pay the government. We've talked about this on the show before. I have to pay the government to carry a gun around. That's my fucking constitutional right. And if you don't like it, fucking do something about it. Enough people have to reach the point of fucking do something about it. And that's when we can secure our freedoms again. The masses are controlled by fear, you guys. They are controlled by all of these little things that you're going to die, you're going to get your grandma sick, your kids are going to give COVID to your sick aunt, and this and that, and just be afraid of everything. And if you live in fear, you're perpetuating the problem and you're a fucking coward. If you're driving around in your car alone with a mask on your face, you're a fucking coward. And you're perpetuating this problem more than you understand. It is time to open your eyes and it is time to start showing some courage. Because courage is the only thing that puts this government back on their heels. The masses love being subjected to fear. And I think it's because there's a large percentage of human beings that want to be controlled. They don't want independence. They don't want to be calling the shots. They don't want to be running their lives. They just want to go along to get along. They want to do whatever is easy. And if the government's going to give them money and the government's going to give them housing, they'll just shut up. They'll do what they're told. They'll live in fucking poverty their whole life. They'll never get ahead. They'll never have shit. They'll never come to a true understanding of what being an independent, free human being is about. And then they fucking die. Congratulations. And if you want to be one of those people, go be one of those people. But this is what I can tell you about those people. When enough men like me get together and we say we've had a fucking enough, those people, they don't follow a political ideology. They don't follow a belief structure that's rooted in something that's important in their heart. They just follow whatever's comfortable. That's part of going along to get along. I saw it in Iraq. I saw it in Afghanistan. There's a certain percentage of people that will just simply go along with whoever's in charge. When the Taliban's in charge, hey, yeah, cool, whatever Taliban says. When the U.S. came in, cool, got it, whatever the U.S. says. They don't have an independent fucking fire burning inside of them that says, you know what, I think this is right and this is wrong. And I'm willing to put everything on the line for it. Every man should have that point in his life where he comes to terms with what his heart believes to be extremely important and where he draws his hard lines and what issues he decides to be unwavering on. And if you don't have those, I suggest you look in the mirror and ask yourself why. If you're just comfortable with whoever's in charge, whoever's telling you what to do, it's time to open your fucking eyes because you're accepting being a slave. But all you motherfuckers driving around with a mask on, when fucking patriots take this country back one day, and again, is it going to be in a year or is it going to be in a decade? I don't know, but it is absolutely coming. And when that day comes, all you fucking weak little faggots driving around in your car with your mask on, you'll do whatever we say. That's not something I look forward to. I don't want to oppress people. I don't want to be in charge of other people. But your Constitution is weak, and you just follow the orders of other men. And you should be ashamed of yourselves. You know, I talked about this the other day. I see women ages 35 to 60 resisting the mandates more than any other demographic of people. Why is that? Why are our women having to show us what leadership looks like? I'm seeing big burly bikers with fucking beards that are 3 feet long with Harley Davidson jackets on walk into a store and put a mask on. And this is how I know it's all bullshit. Because when Washington State lifted the mask mandate for a couple weeks, when they turned the heat down a little bit last time, nobody had a mask on. Nobody. So you have to ask yourself, are you people doing it because you're being told to? Or are you doing it because it's what you believe will keep you safe? And if it's the latter, and that you truly believe this is good for you, then do it. But if you're doing it because you're being told to, even though you don't agree with it, fuck you. I'm sick and tired of people like you. You know, in Canada, not only did they do all the egregious acts that I already discussed, they identified people and they froze their bank accounts. And they fucking are seizing their funds. $10 million for the Freedom Convoy. Seized. How can the government take our money like that? What are we talking about? And the Canadian politicians were on TV saying, through the Emergency Use Act, we can take control of bank accounts without a court order. What? Without a court order? That should be shocking to everybody. That should be absolutely shocking to everybody. And I looked up the Canadian Charter of Freedoms, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They don't have a constitution like we have. So when I see this stuff, I apply my emotions to it as an American, as someone that grew up understanding how our liberty is structured and how our rights are afforded to us. But I opened up the internet and looked at the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And it states the fundamental freedoms are freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of belief, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. I don't know how much more peaceful the assembly could get, but if they're afforded that in their document, isn't that something that the government should respect? You would think, but they don't respect the document anymore. A document is beneficial because what it does is it shows you clear as day when these political elite cocksuckers decide to just try and trample on us. But I don't think a document is necessary to secure your freedom. We don't need to be told that we should be free in order to desire to be free. It just comes inherently as a human being. But it does shine a spotlight on our leaders' inability to fall in line with the country's literal written agreements and standards that we are supposed to live under. It's a blatant indicator that they do what they please. It's a blatant indicator that they don't care about our rights. The easiest one to draw a comparison with is the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed. Could they have chose a better method of wording that sentence? Shall not be infringed. And they infringe on it every fucking day. Yeah, I feel for Canada up there. You guys can't even have AR-15s, but all the police do. The police and the citizens should be armed in an identical manner. I have a serious fucking problem with that when they're not. And like people always say, like, well, if you think shall not be infringed, do you think that people should have tanks? Should people be able to have a plane with a nuclear bomb? And that's a very nuanced argument or nuanced discussion, because at some point, I can tell you, it does feel a little unreasonable for a man to be able to just purchase a bomb that can blow up a city, right? And where I've fallen on what I believe shall not be infringed is, I believe that a free people should be armed with the same exact capability as whatever arm of the government they may potentially face. And here in the United States, the military is not allowed to be used against its people. Now, will they fucking circumnavigate that somehow? Probably. But I tend to look at the Second Amendment as any capability, any weapon system that a government entity could employ against U.S. citizens on our soil, we should be able to have the same. So you want to see the militarization of police, and you want every police officer to have fucking body armor and an AR-15, well, and night vision goggles? Citizens should be able to have all that too. And guys, I'm not poo-pooing on that. I was a police officer with fucking night vision and an AR-15, and I use those tools as part of my job to uphold the law and to make arrests and do the things that good cops do. The militarization of police is not something that has ever bothered me. I just think that if I can have it as a cop, citizens should be able to have it too. And I've gotten in arguments with cops about that. Cops that I'm on the same fucking department with. Like, Anderson, are you serious? You think a regular citizen needs an AR-15? And I let them have it. I go crazy Anderson when I hear that shit. Because it's, oh, yeah, you're so fucking important. Because you have a little piece of tin on your belt that says fucking sheriff on it. You're so fucking important because you went through some bullshit academy for 5 months that now you get to fucking have weapon systems that a regular podunk citizen doesn't deserve because I'm more important than them. I have more authority than them. If that's what you think as a cop, pull your head out of your ass because you are not more important than the people. You don't deserve special treatment. You don't deserve special equipment. And as soon as police officers and politicians and all these people that occupy a position within the government, as soon as they realize like, oh yeah, me and the citizens, we're on an even playing field. We're identical. It's not us and them or them and us. It's just we're Americans. I just happen to fill a position in government. That position should not come with any benefits or special rights or special treatment, because as soon as it does, now you're shitting on the people. And that is the foundational problem that we are having nationwide, is that certain groups of people within the government, they want to be treated a little differently. They want a little more money. They want a little more benefits. Look at fucking Congress, the shit that they vote in to protect themselves and the benefits they give themselves and the retirement they give themselves. It's fucking insane. And the exemptions they give themselves. Oh, they weren't subjected to the mandates. No, of course not. Why would they be? but everybody else was. So one of the people that organized the Freedom Rally in Ottawa, her name was Tamara Lynch. And I might be pronouncing that's Lich, Lake. I'm not sure exactly. I've just read about it. But she was arrested today. Or no, she was arrested yesterday. And today she was denied bail. And the fucking Judge Julie Bourgeois, she said that Lich poses a substantial likelihood of reoffending and placing public safety at risk if she is released on bail. So she's detained indefinitely, preceding trial. And guys, that happens all the time. Don't think that this doesn't happen all the time. At least in the American judicial system that I'm familiar with, when you make an arrest of someone and they are arraigned, meaning the charges are read to them before the judge or in front of the judge, they are then granted bail, and a bail amount is set. But they're granted bail with two things in mind: risk of flight, meaning if I let this person out on bail, are they going to come back and are they going to appear at their hearings, or are they going to fucking pop smoke? So if they believe this person is going to flee, that is one argument to keep them in jail. The other argument to keep them in jail is danger to community. So if I make an arrest of a guy who's a serial rapist of 15-year-old girls, and we know his MO and we know he's extremely dangerous, the judge, I shouldn't say will, because these days they let all these motherfuckers out on bail, but the judge should look at that situation and be like, this guy is an extreme danger to community. Therefore, he is staying detained until his hearing. But for a woman that arranged a freedom convoy, okay, what's her risk of reoffending? Think she's going to arrange another convoy? Or what's her risk of flight? Have they been able to articulate that there's a risk of flight? No, because no one's mentioned a risk of flight. They just said she's at risk of reoffending. And so now this woman is in jail, awaiting trial, when the only charge they have against her is mischief. She's charged with counseling to commit mischief. Guys, this stuff should bother you. This stuff should bother everyone. You know, it's Trudeau's Emergencies Acts that is allowing their judicial system to just run amok and do whatever it wants. And that should be concerning, because it's over here, over there. Canada's a 2-hour drive for me. I go up there often. And it's never felt like some third world country. It just feels like I'm in a different city for the day when I go up to BC. Over here, over there, they're people. We're all the same. And so if you don't think that paying attention and having passion and concern for what is happening to our brothers and sisters in Canada, to our brothers and sisters in Europe and in Australia, if you don't think that's important, you're telling yourself a lie, because we are all in this together. This is going to be one fight. And one day it's going to be important that we are all united, not only within our own country, but united across the world. And so when you think about what events would cause a revolution, what events would cause people to just say, you know what? I have had enough. I've had enough. And we're done with your bullshit. I think that there's not necessarily any one event that will inspire all the different people across the country to rise up, because everybody holds different morals. Everybody has different perspectives. Everybody has different political affiliations. But when you start fucking with people's money and you start fucking with their freedom, I think that's going to span race. I think that's going to span political affiliation. I think that's going to span age groups. Everybody's coming to the same conclusion that we are sick and tired of this. The initial phases of the American Revolution, one of them was the Stamp Act. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, go ahead and Google it and read about the Stamp Act. But the Stamp Act was in 1765. And this was the Crown's attempt at recouping some of the massive debt that was left over from the war with France. And the Parliament passed laws such as the Stamp Act, which for the first time taxed a wide range of transactions in the colonies. So here we are now. People left Europe to get away from that bullshit and start a new life. And for the first time, royalty and the crown on the other side of the ocean is saying, you know what? You still have to pay us. You still have to pay us. Following that was the Townshend Act. June and July of 1767. Parliament again tries to assert its authority by passing legislation to tax goods that Americans are importing from Great Britain. The Crown established a board of customs commissions to stop smuggling and corruption among locals in the colonies. They referred to this as illicit trade. Okay, so now you can't trade illicitly. Has to be approved by the Crown. We're going to charge you a tax on some of your stuff, and now we're going to take control of your actual commerce. Tensions started rising because people were like, you're fucking taking our money and you're telling us how we get to operate? We're here as a free people. And that stuff started to boil. Tension started to rise. And that led to the Boston Massacre. Simmering tensions between the British occupiers and the Boston residents boiled over late one afternoon when a disagreement between an apprentice wig maker and a British soldier led to a crowd of 200 colonists surrounding 7 British troops. When the Americans began taunting the British, the soldiers apparently lost their cool and began firing into the crowd. And after the smoke cleared, there were 3 dead men, including Crispus Attucks, an African-American sailor. So now you started taxing us. You started telling us how we could trade and how we could run our businesses. And now it's boiled over into actual violence in our streets between our citizens and your fucking occupying military force. Following that was the Boston Tea Party, which everybody is familiar with. And then tensions kept going up and up and up. And there was more conflict and there was more conflict until Lexington and Concord in 1775. So look at what the people of the colonies were upset about. Look at what they said, you know what? We've had enough. We're no longer willing to play this game. And now look at what's happening in our country. Guys, I built a gym in 2012. And the amount of red tape and the amount of money that is just straight up fucking swindled from you when you want to go ahead and turn a vision or a dream into reality, the government takes and they take and they take and they take. And if you're a listener of this podcast and you follow my life, you probably already know I am in the process of building a second gym. And it's on the same property. And it's the 2 facilities are going to be right next to each other. And now we're going to have one facility as CrossFit and one facility as jiu-jitsu because we currently share one structure. And it's too much because the memberships have grown. We have too many classes and we need more area to accomplish what we're trying to do there. So in order to build a new gym, I had to knock down my barn. I had an old barn in the field on my property. And we looked into that. And I hired a guy to demo my barn. And they said it'd be about a $10,000 job. Okay, that sounds expensive. But it needs to be done. And I'm not a fucking barn demoer. So I said, cool, let's do it. And the guy goes, well, you're going to need this permit and you're going to need that permit. You're going to need a clean air pass from Puget Sound Clean Air. You're going to need to do this. You're going to need to do that. And all this stuff costs money, right? I have to pay the government to knock down an old barn in my field. That already was bothering me because it's my barn and it's my field. The thing was built in the 1920s and it was on its last leg. I actually had an engineer come out to talk about restoring it. And his exact words, and he was kind of a fucking pussy, so don't give too much credit to this, but he's like, I don't feel safe even standing in this structure. I'm not standing in here anymore. And he walked out of the barn out into the field. And I thought, what a fucking pussy. But my point in saying that is it was structurally compromised. Here's the worst part. When we inquired about those permits, the government said, pay for the permits and they will be issued to complete the demo in 90 days. Guys, I have a fucking business to run. I have a project that I'm trying to oversee here, that I'm trying to get started. And you want me to wait 90 days for you to issue me a permit? Even if I'm paying for it, 90 days? And now, after 90-day wait and you finally issue me my permit, I can go knock the barn down. Okay. So guess what I did? Me and my buddy grabbed his excavator and we knocked it down ourselves. And now it's gone. And if any motherfucker in government doesn't like that, come to my fucking gym and voice your displeasure to me. And I'll knock your fucking teeth out of your mouth. I'm sick of this. We have created a society where a free man business owner, that is my property, that is my barn, and I can't knock it over without paying the government all these exuberant amounts of money and on a date that they decide 3 months down the road. Go fuck yourself. If everybody would tell the government to go fuck themselves, society would fucking work in a much smoother manner. But here's the deal, guys. This is why it doesn't work anymore. Because government is this big failing bureaucracy. They take all of our money. We're fucking taxed everywhere you look. You have property tax. You have fucking sales tax. You have income tax. If you buy and sell a house, you have capital gains tax and tax and tax and tax and tax. They're so used to taking everybody's money that they don't have to run efficiently. They don't have to run smoothly. They don't have standards that they have to abide by to make sure that the money that they have lasts until the next fiscal year, because they just have an endless supply because they steal it from us. I've said this many times. If our government took a reasonable amount of money and our schools were running shit hot and our roads were taken care of and our infrastructure was strong and our police were keeping our community safe and all the things that we would expect from you guys taking these exuberant amounts of money from us, if all those things were happening, you wouldn't hear me as fired up right now. But when you take and you take and you take and you take, and my cities are so fucking dangerous, I won't even let my kids go to Seattle. Last time we walked by downtown Seattle, my fucking babies had to watch a fucking heroin addict overdosing. I shouldn't say had to, they got to. Because here's Crazy Anderson again. I actually stopped and I said, everyone look at that person. That's a lifestyle of bad choices accumulating to what's happening right now. But my point is, why the fuck do I have to see that when I'm on a fucking day date with my daughters? The roads are shit. Law enforcement is unable to fucking keep our city safe anymore. And I'm not casting stones at you guys. I'm not casting stones at boots on the ground. I'm casting stones at how they have legislated the ability of our police to keep our communities safe completely out of existence. Our communities aren't safe. People come to my gym and fucking steal shit. I figure out who it is. I complete the criminal investigation. No arrests get made because the fucking prosecutors don't want to take any cases anymore. They're perpetuating this. And because all of these problems in society continue to become exasperated, I don't feel very fucking comfortable about giving you guys more of my hard-earned money. Because you have shown me over and over and over that you fucking squander it. And the political class is flying around in private jets, buying $24 million mansions. But I can't tear my barn down until you tell me I can. What are we talking about, guys? This may not sound like a big deal, but what it is all these little things should accumulate and bring you to a point where you say, you know what? We're not free anymore. We're not fucking free anymore. And why is that? And it is because we have allowed them to nickel and dime us every fucking where we turn. Every last little thing that we do, they nickel and dime us, and they nickel and dime us. I don't know what the percentage is, but if you were to calculate all the taxes that you pay through all of those different means that I'd already mentioned, how much of our money is being taken by the government? And then how much of that money is being squandered? So just like I said during the American Revolution, first they taxed them. Next, they told them how to run their businesses. And here's the ironic thing. Government doesn't know anything about running businesses. They don't know anything about being an entrepreneur, creating, building a clientele, offering quality products, quality control, keeping customers happy. They don't know anything about being a first responder, keeping your streets safe, how we need to implement security into our communities. They don't know anything about being a musician, creating art, creating music. They don't know anything about being a medical professional and diagnosing people and prescribing medicines. They don't know anything about any of this, but they want to dictate all of it. They want to tell you how you can sell your products. They want to tell doctors what they can fucking prescribe. They want to tell police officers how they can keep their communities safe. And everything government touches turns to shit. Everything they touch turns to shit. Yet we just keep perpetuating the problem. Does anybody see this for what it is? Am I fucking going crazy? I feel like Mr. Magatu. I feel like everyone's taking crazy pills. It drives me fucking nuts. Everything the government touches turns to shit. Yet we continue to let these people dictate every last aspect of our lives. And all it takes is enough of us saying, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Oh, you don't like that? Do something about it. Fucking do something about it. And if enough of us say that, there's a couple things that are going to take place. A, I can promise you, and I know nobody believes this anymore because a lot of faith has been lost in the law enforcement profession. And you know what, guys? Rightfully so. And I apologize to my fans and my listeners that are part of the profession because there are a lot of good cops out there. There's a lot of cops out there that I believe when this shit pops off will stand on the side of the people. But there's also a lot of cops out there now that do what they're fucking told. And that's reality. We saw in Canada over the last week, hundreds of cops just doing what they're told. And so I implore police officers again. The whole reason I have a fucking platform, the whole reason this podcast exists is because I went on a public stage and said, I implore police officers to look inside of themselves and ask themselves one question. Am I doing the right thing? And please continue to do that, guys, because we need you. We need you to do the right thing. It's not us and them. We are one. Police officers are integrated into our society. Police officers are members of my gym. Their wives are teachers. Half of my friends are still fucking cops. A lot of police officers are rad people with good moral integrity who share the same types of beliefs that I have and the things that I've articulated over the last hour. A lot of police officers are those people. And I know some of you, it's hard to believe because there was a war on law enforcement over the last couple of years. But just know, when the day comes where they have to decide, am I going to disobey an order or am I going to infringe on someone's rights? That I still believe in my heart that plenty of the good ones will say, I stand with the fucking people first. And guys, if you're a cop and you're listening and you haven't had that conversation with yourself, please do. Look at yourself in the mirror and have that conversation. Because it's very likely that a day will come in your career when your chain of command does ask you to do something that does violate your conscience. And if it's sporadic and it's thrown at you randomly on a Monday morning when you're in roll call, reporting for duty. Oh, by the way, Anderson, today you're going to be down on the corner of First and Union because we heard that there's a group of people protesting Jay Inslee's new mandates and we want them pushed out. So we're going to have you go down there and push them out. No, I'm not going to do that because those people are exercising one of their constitutional rights. Whoa, hold on a second. Hey, and they'll downplay it. Greg, listen, I agree with you. And I support people implementing their constitutional rights. But at the end of the day, they're affecting the roadways and blah, 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 blah. Stand strong. Know that great actions and massive change starts with little steps. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And it's the same thing for you cops. Resist the little stuff. Say, you know what, Sarge, I'm not doing that. And I want you guys to know, and I want you guys to understand that if you ever get terminated as a result of standing behind what you believe to be ethically correct, you're going to be a happier person for it. The universe has a strange way of rewarding those that stay true to themselves. And you can call it God, you can call it karma, you can call it whatever you want. But it is absolutely real. So do not, what that is, it's another fear tactic to control. And we already talked about this on today's episode. We're not controlled by fear. I'm not intimidated in any capacity by what the government can do to me or what they threaten to do to me. And you as police officers shouldn't either. And if your commander doesn't like something or your sergeant doesn't like something, too fucking bad. Because you're your own man. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. And at the end of the day, you answer to you, your God, your ethics, and your heart. And you do those things, no other person should be able to affect how you act and how you behave. It is very distressing. The current situation that our country faces, we are in distress. That's why you saw I posted an upside down Canadian flag the other day. Or you'll see upside down American flags. That indicates distress. But it does not indicate intimidation. It does not indicate fear. And it does not indicate being afraid. You have to tell yourself, your government does not have the ability to intimidate me. They do not have the ability to keep me in a fearful state. They do not have the ability to make me feel afraid. Period. Those emotions should not exist inside your heart. And once you can figure out a way to purge those, you are a free person. And we need everybody to be free-thinking people right now, willing to stand up and say no. I talk about this all the time on my podcast. I talk about it all the time on my Instagram, but you need to figure out a way to find comfort in uncomfortable situations. And once you can no longer be controlled through fear. They want you to feel this massive amount of anxiety, this massive amount of discomfort, this massive amount of distrust of other Americans based on the color of their skin or their sexual orientation. They want us to feel all of these things that keep you in a triggered state. Because when you're living in that triggered state, uniting and mounting an offense is almost impossible. It is almost impossible. The stuff that I have been seeing over the last couple of weeks, it hurts my heart. It makes me sad. I feel like we are in a spiritual war. And what we are going to confront in our lifetimes can be summed up as a battle of good versus evil. I don't think this is necessarily biblical because I'm not sure where I stand when it comes to my faith. But this is an energy thing. I can feel negative energy coming off of these people that I'm in conflict with. I can see it in their beady little eyes. I can hear it in their voice when they're being manipulative and trying to coerce. They're being self-serving. I can see this a mile away, and a lot of you guys can too. And it hurts my heart. But I have to understand that even though all this stuff is very, very hard for me to accept, it makes me want to cry at times. I still know that if we stand strong and we stand together, there's light at the end of this tunnel. These people want to cast a shadow of darkness over us. They want you to feel like it's hard to breathe. They want you to feel like you're treading water and you're sinking and you're struggling just to grasp for air. And every breath in your life is just a struggle. They don't want you to be able to just stand up, stand tall, take a deep breath in and feel fucking powerful. They don't want that for you at all. But that is what will set you free. That is what we need as a people. We need to love the people on our left and our right. We need to love the people that have a different color skin than you. We need to love the people that have a different sexual orientation than you. We need to love the people that share a different faith than you. And I know a lot of my listeners are conservatives, and a lot of your values are rooted in Christianity and being a follower of Jesus Christ. And I think that's powerful, and I appreciate that. But I implore you guys to know that that is the path that is working for you. And even though you undoubtedly know that to be the truth and what you follow, just know as a human being, as an American, we are more powerful if we accept all other faiths, if we accept all other approaches to life. Because in our core, we all want the same thing. We want love. We want kindness. We want prosperity. We want security. We want to feel free. We want to pursue our dreams and our aspirations. And guys, I'm a wild, violent motherfucker in my heart. And if you're a person that wants to try and deprive anyone of those things, I think your head should be on a fucking pike. So don't mistake what I'm saying as putting love first and accepting people as some hippie fucking unrealistic bullshit. My dream is to have a united people who want to move forward. They want to be in a high vibration together. They want to pursue love together. But if you're someone that wants to put a chink into that armor and you want to compromise those values and you want to compromise that mission, you get what's coming. And once you fucking people start to get what's coming, your tune's going to change real quickly. Because you don't have a fucking warrior's heart. You don't know what it's like to confront evil face to face and put a bullet in another man's head from 5 fucking feet away. You don't know what it takes to risk everything for your beliefs. But a lot of us do. The biggest mistake that the U.S. government made is sending a bunch of young men and women like me to war for a decade, where I got to confront extreme evil and extreme violence. And you know what it taught me? I'm pretty fucking comfortable doing and experiencing those things. And I'm not averse to those things. And that does not cause me to feel fear in my heart. Can the same be said for them? I highly fucking doubt it. I highly fucking doubt it, because they have used us as their foot soldiers to be on the front lines, perpetuating their agendas, killing the people that they want to be killed, waging war against the countries that they want war waged against. And good on you guys. You got me. And I went and I played your fucking game for a while. But I happen to play the game from the front lines. Where do you play the fucking game from? We all know where you played it from. The security of your own fucking couch. Being a coward little fucker. And when the time comes, that's not going to serve you like it serves us. This will be another day at the fucking office for guys like us. And gals like us. It's no longer the archaic way of fighting wars. Our women played a fucking very valuable role in a lot of our conflicts and a lot of our engagements. We have men and women across this country that know how to confront evil, that know how to fight with heart and grit and not be intimidated. And the day's coming. The day's coming where we come for fucking you. And I hope you're ready. The American Insurgent. It's a real thing, guys. Prepare your mind, body, and soul. Because if you don't, you are going to get caught short. And that is a promise. Our children, our families, our communities need to be able to rely on the good men and women out there to do the right thing when the time comes. So it is up to us to make sure that we stand ready. I love you guys. Very heavy episode. But I think this is one of the most important fights of our lives. If they pull my podcast down and I lose my platform over this, but this message reached enough people, it's fucking worth it. I don't give a fuck anymore. We need to understand what the priorities are. And I think a lot of you guys have a pretty good idea. I'm not a leader in this. I'm not someone directing this. I'm not someone taking charge. I'm in this with you guys. I'm in the trenches with you. You and me, it's the same. The only difference is I just happen to be one of the guys that has a platform that can reach people. Therefore, I think it's important to share it with as many people as we can. But all of us share the same responsibility. If you think this is real, talk to your communities about it. Talk to your loved ones about it. Talk to your friends about it. Take some necessary precautions to be ready. Because if we don't, we're going to be subjugated by these motherfuckers. They're going to continue to oppress and keep their boots on the back of our necks while they get to prosper and be the political elite that they fucking have dreamed of being their whole lives. It's up to us to make sure that doesn't happen.